Welcome back everyone. This is the third video after the first and second video, which we are dealing with the concept of risk in the first video and the definitions in the second video, and in this video we will be dealing with the area of application of risk. Area of application of the risk, when I talk about, we have to consider that the whole world is now under risk. The risk factors are increasing nowadays in a large way than ever expected, contemplated in history. So, area of risk, when we talk about, we need to make sure that, once again, that the definition of risk in video 2, you remember that uncertainty is a hidden event. Upon identifying it, becomes a risk. So now, in the area of application, we'll have to deal with the first of all, the economic risk. Now, economic risk largely, if you look at economic risk around anything, we'll have to first consider the global economic risks, the national economic risk. So these are all the primary risk which is covering the economic aspect of any nation, right? So economic risk, when we look into, we have to see various causes of the economic risk, why it is happening. Some are natural disasters, some are the changes in regimes, some are loss of key personnel sometimes, then emergence of some serious competitors in the market. For example, India is having competitive market we are facing from China, for example. You can say it is a competitive market. Now, in a that is happening in the globalization scenario in the past. Now, production disruptions, then delays in commissioning of some new mega projects or plans or anything of that, or a price hike. These are all the causes which is really affecting an economy. And we have seen the economy is getting worsened in scenarios where the extreme threats like a pandemic is getting exploded in such a way that the whole world is getting affected today. So what we found is the economic risk is mainly being dealt with a government, and it is largely dealt with government or international organizations. As we have seen nowadays, we have been seeing various videos and news, and the whole angering is about these issues nowadays, and it remains to be seen. It is heard that some countries, for the next 6 months, 70% of the business is going to be lost. So such is the case in these pandemic situations. Okay, now going over to the next area, one of the most key areas we'll have to deal with is hazards. That is occupational health and safety advisory services. That is OHSAS, or OHSAS, is an area we have to mostly look into in your curriculum, that it is a definition based on hazard. So hazard is, a chemical hazard or chemical leak. For example, in Bhopal gas tragedy in 1984, we have seen that in Union Carbide, there was a isocyanate leakage, and it has killed more than 3,000 people and devastated that time a lot of people's life and expectations and future, everything. Now, similar situation you must be knowing, recently there was a toxic methyl isocyanate leakage which has happened in Vizag LNG plant, which is off late. It is the latest news we have seen. These are all caused by a hazard due to an explosion or a leakage. So basically, the OHSAS has defined risk is the combination of the probability of a hazard resulting in an adverse event and the severity of the event. So that is a very important one to note. And then you can see, based on these studies nowadays, environmental risk assessment is considered to be an emerging field where experts in the fields get into the business of identifying the potential risk and assessment of it can cause environmental damage to or not. All these things they study and they evaluate. They come up nowadays with a lot of recommendations to the governments of various countries. And the global scenario and environmental issues, nations are fighting. They have difference of opinion. Okay, these are all, risk areas which really need to be addressed. It's a potential area. And another area which I would like to mention is IT. Everybody knows that the importance of IT today in various production environment and running of the companies, etc., etc. It is a new area, though, where the process almost entire thing that IT is being supported nowadays, almost all the process. So it is vulnerable to hacking. That is a potential risk, right? And unauthorized access by somebody given somebody gave to somebody, it can cause a potential danger or a threat in a information technology usage area. Now, another area is security area. Security is, security of a company, an organization, or a government. Everywhere, these unauthorized use and the loss and damage and disclosure of a detail of a company or information related to the company and modification of assets of such things aimed at profit for personal gains or political interest or of a group or individual or entities or people, and this compromises the enterprise organizational assets. So that can even harm people. That is very important. There are certain cases it has happened. So this vital area to be considered also for risk management to be undertaken. Now, another the important thing is a company or an organizational area. In the organizational there are various departments, and in various departments like HR, there is operation, there is marketing and sales, there is treasury, there is IT, there is product development, and there is finance and accounts. All these departments has to have risk evaluation to be conducted. And because risk here, it is defined any event or action that can impact the fulfillment of corporate objectives. That is in the organizational area, this has to be addressed, and many of the organizations are trying to incorporate this into their business as a mandatory requirement. It is very welcome. And basically then you have to see in HR department, for example, morale of the people are very important, because personal objectives, for example, are getting fixed, or it is the objectives stated fully, but it gets deferred. There is a possibility due to a sudden morale of the people getting affected due to a policy or due to some accidents or there are many reasons. There is a possible area that has to be, for example, to be addressed. And this is the case with a customer loyalty in marketing, for example. So these are all things to be taken into account. The treasury, for example, the cash flow is there or not. These are all various areas in financial statement in F&A. In financial and accounting department, what happens in the statements, we have already told that the statements are having the potentiality of giving a corrupted statement, and which can impair the company's running, or that will have a potential impact of a negative impact in the company's running. So these are all things to be considered as areas in an organization. And there are certain other areas now. It's a human behavioral and organizational psychology in general. It is basically, we have a more controversial effects in certain cases in this field. We know that we are scared of a shark attack than we have a motor vehicle accident which regularly happens in the road. But we are more scared of a shark attack. That is a human behavioral aspect, right? So it is again where the opportunities are there than few of the threats. That is what we need to look into those areas. Statistical studies will yield results about the past risk data in these cases. So this is a relatively new area. Do you remember that in 9/11? Soon after the 9/11 in the US, what happened is people stopped using flights. People are scared. People started using only the cars or other means of transport. So this is a psychological impact which can be created. It is a potential risk which need to be addressed in a proper manner. Of course, it is generally to be addressed by the civil side of a country and how they are dealing with proper counseling, etc., etc. Now, another one area which I would like to mention is maintenance areas in the companies, where we have been dealing with reliability-centered maintenance mostly in maintenance area, which means an equipment is failing, or the probability of a failure is being evaluated, and then in advance it will be replaced. That's the end of it. But now it is when the risk application has come into play in these fields, what happens is the importance is given not only in replacing but predicting the consequences of it. What will be the consequences if that fails? Whether the plant alone is losing the reliability, or environmentally it is having an impact, or socially it is having an impact, and these are all being addressed in the maintenance field also. So these are the areas generally risk management has scope to apply, and I do hope that you got a clue about it. And today I think you have figured it out in your curriculum what is mentioned. These are all things, and now you got the introduction, and you got the definition, and you got the application of areas of risk. So thank you for being with me today, and you can see in the next video further coverage of the subject. Thank you very much.